This is the Pixel 6 Pro, the hottest new phone from Google, released on the 28th of October 2021. And now in my hands to unbox and review. Well, to be fair, it's only in my hands this evening. I myself have always been an iPhone user, and now that I'm switching to privacy-respecting technology, I'm certainly not going to use a Google phone. Nevertheless, this is a very capable and cool device, so let's get going. So here it is in all its glory, the Pixel 6 Pro. As you can see, the color scheme here is just black. Google has released a few funnily named colors for this particular variant. And let's go ahead and get the thing unboxed. So you can see at the back, Pixel 6 Pro. And if I bring this closer to the camera, you can see that it has a 256GB storage capacity, and actually the color is called Stormy Black. Okay, so I've learned something here as well. And there are these pull tabs here at the bottom. So let me go ahead and get these removed. So that's one pull tab and the other pull tab. And now we'll flip this guy around for the glorious reveal. So let's go ahead and do that. Ta-da! And immediately apparent is the absolutely gigantic camera bar that is featured in these phones. Anyway, let's get this thing out of the box. And you can see that there is, of course, the phone itself. Google has switched, as many other manufacturers, to this recyclable paper backing rather than plastic. Always good to save the polar bears and what's not. And in here, inside the box, you'll see there is a USB-C to C cable here for charging, and handily, Google have also included a USB-A, a USB-A to USB-C adapter right here in the box. However, no charging brick. So if you want to charge your phone, and especially if you want to use quick charging, you're gonna have to buy a power adapter separately, and also there are no earbuds, not even wired ones. So as you can see, as minimal packaging as possible. Everybody criticized Apple for doing this, and yet everybody, including Google themselves, are copying. Here we see the documentation. I'm not gonna bother to remove this, but you can see there's a SIM removal tool right there on the back. And obviously some documentation, quick started guide, and so on. So let's go ahead and clean this up, and we'll stay with the phone. Okay, so here it is, the phone itself, and we'll go ahead and and here it is, that is the phone itself. And you can see it is an extremely good looking device. It's basically a slab of glass, but that's good. Here on the side, we see that there is the volume rocker as well as the power button. Moving up closer here so you can see it. And on the other side, there is the SIM slot down here. Again, it might be a bit difficult to see since it's pretty much black on black. The front is just a slab of glass, pretty much. And on the back, we can see the famous camera bar. So you can see the different cameras here along this bar, and as well as the multi-mode flash here on the side. And I must say that even though this bar is big, it is also actually quite pretty. The way it catches the light is really, really nice, and it's obviously machined to a very high standard. Okay, now I am known for being an extremely clumsy person. So the Patreon subscriber Daniel, who graciously lent me this phone, wanted to make sure I don't actually break the thing, and so he's also given me this case to put on it. So I'll quickly slip a condom on the phone. Remember guys, never go raw, always use protection. Okay, so we'll put the phone in here. There we go, nice and snugly fit. And the nice thing about buying these kinds of cases for the phone is that the camera bump is no longer a bump. Okay, as you can see, it fits nice and snugly, and on this particular Spigen case here, the camera is actually recessed, so in case you drop the phone, you're not gonna damage it. And it's also very nicely padded. Obviously it adds girth to the phone, but you know, you have to choose between having to replace the very expensive front and back glass or just having it feel a little bit bulkier in your pocket. Speaking of the glass front and back, Google has installed Gorilla Glass Victus on the phone, and it has an aluminum frame. The display is 120 Hz always-on OLED with a resolution of 1440 by 3120, giving a 19.5:9 aspect ratio with HDR10 Plus certification. The Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro, which is this particular variant, is Google's first phone with their in-house designed Google Tensor chip, which is an 8-core processor, having 2 cores at 2.8 GHz, 2 cores at 2.5 GHz, and 4 high-efficiency 1.8 GHz cores. It's available in 128, 256, or 512 GB internal storage. This particular guy is 256, and it has 12 GB of RAM. Speaking of the cameras, on the rear there are 3 rear cameras. There's the 50 megapixel wide-angle lens, a 48 megapixel telephoto, and a 12 megapixel ultra-wide lens. And there's also an 11.1 megapixel selfie camera up front. The cameras can record 4K at up to 60 frames per second and 1080p at up to 240 frames per second for some fantastic slow motion shots. The phone also features an under-screen fingerprint reader and Wi-Fi 6. Okay, let's go ahead and boot it up for the first time. I'll press and hold the power button. Welcome to your Pixel. Okay, and now we'll just quickly follow the get started guide. I'll skip through that guide so we can then return to the home screen. So we're at the stage here where we're going to set up fingerprint unlocking. So let's go ahead and do this. So I agree. How to set up your fingerprint. The fingerprint sensor is in your screen. You'll capture your fingerprint on the next screen. Okay, start. Touch and hold the fingerprint sensor. One more time. Lift and then touch again. Okay, so you're meant to follow the icon around as it moves. Change the position of your finger slightly each time. Okay, fair enough. Okay, your fingerprint has been added. You can now use your fingerprint to unlock. Cool. Okay, so we're on the home screen of the device, as you can see here. And here we have our news feed. Oh my God, that feels very, very fluid. This is a 120 Hz display here, and it's activated by default. And it really is buttery smooth scrolling through this feed here. Okay, so we'll swipe up here and the applications are here. Obviously, this is just a default install. We didn't bother setting it up with lots of stuff. And as you can see, stuff is being installed right now, synchronizing with an account. Now, if you're buying a Pixel phone, you're probably buying it to get the stock Android experience. But you're also buying it for the fantastic cameras that the Pixel phones are known for. And so let's go ahead and give this phone a challenge. As you can see, I have a light box here, so there is a lot of light. And I'm going to put a pussy here in the middle. Okay, now I'm gonna actually angle it this way. Okay, and it is quite a reflective object, as you can see. And I'm gonna go ahead and take the camera, take a photo of it. And here we go. I'm just gonna put it roughly in the center, and there we are. And I've just taken a photo which should be up on your screen right now. Now I'll zoom in, and yes, this is a very, very clear photo, as you can see. And even though the item is very glossy, you can see the details here, especially if I zoom in to the cat's eye, pun intended. You can see that the detail is very clear. Obviously here, there is also Google's AI technology helping to improve this photo. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take a selfie as well, so we can look at the performance of the front-facing camera. So that is a normal shot here, and I'm now going to switch to portrait mode to see what it does with the background. So, and you can see here the portrait mode shot, and as you can see, Google has done a pretty good effect here. blurring my background and adding a nice bokeh effect to, well, the background of my face, basically. Okay, so let's see how fast unlocking with your fingerprint is. So let's go. Oh wow, that's actually really fast. I'm gonna just quickly try that again. So as you can see, I tap to wake it, and then, oh, and it unlocks pretty much instantly. So that's really fantastic performance. Now, one of the biggest features of the new Pixel 6 and 6 Pro is the Magic Eraser tool. So after updating the Photos app, this is apparently now working. Apparently Google had released some sort of update which magically erased the Magic Eraser, ironically. However, it should be working here, so I'm going to click Edit. And then if I swipe to Tools here, as you can see, there is Magic Eraser. And basically I can circle around what I want to erase. Now in this case, I just want to leave the cat here. So I want to remove this card from here. And so and there it goes, whoop, totally disappears. Now, to be perfectly honest, there is still some, as you can see here, some vestiges of what was once supposed to be behind the card, since this isn't perfect white. This is kind of like a gradient here. I wonder if I select it again, whether that will be removed. And no, it just creates more creases, but still pretty good considering. So we'll tap done here, and that will save the new photo. Now that was a pretty easy one. Let's try something a bit more challenging. So I'm gonna swipe to the, that's my selfie there. So I took a photo here of my tripod. And as you can see, this is a very complicated photo to erase because, I mean, yes, the furniture background is pretty, you know, a plain color, but then there are books on this part here. So let's see how good this Magic Eraser is. I mean, it's not actually magic, of course. So there we'll go. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and erase the tripod from the photo. So let's try and remove this leg here. And you know what? That's actually not bad. And honestly, if you didn't know it was there, I mean, yeah, that's pretty okay. Let's try removing this other leg here. And honestly, I am quite amazed at how good this works. I mean, yes, of course, this is also available on Photoshop, but remember here, we're just doing it by choosing stuff on our device without installing anything at all. This is like part of the device itself. And as you can see, I am quite successfully managing to remove the tripod. Remember here, we are zoomed in, and this is actually quite amazing. So now let's try something a bit more challenging. Let's try removing the entire head of the tripod, and that's it, disappeared. Now, of course, there would still need to be some brushing up to do. I mean, there is a gray spot here. I wonder if selecting it like that, yeah, it does make it a bit better. But where once there was a tripod, the tripod there is no more. Now, of course, you need to be careful when doing this kind of stuff. You can still probably see here on the side the shadow of the tripod. So I wonder whether the Magic Eraser can remove the shadows as well. So let's see whether... And yes, the shadows disappear as well. I mean, to be honest, it's more like a blur effect at this point. But then again, we did give it a pretty challenging photo to work with. And I think with one more adjustment, yeah, I mean, that's probably as good as it's going to get without taking it into professional photo editing software. Okay, now what if we try something a bit more challenging? We're gonna bring the tripod back in frame here and try to erase the whole thing all at one go. I don't know whether this is gonna work, but there's only one way to find out. So I'm just gonna draw a rough outline around the tripod. Holy crap, that actually worked. I am absolutely amazed. As you can see, I think it actually did a better job of me selecting the pieces of the tripod one by one. This is truly, I mean, I see why they call it Magic Eraser. Let's try just, yeah, swiping on it like that. And yeah, that also works pretty well. So as you can see, it's very forgiving. You don't have to be particularly accurate with your selection. I mean, even a very rough outline of the tripod, as you can see, whoop, just goes ahead and removes it. I mean, it's really very, very forgiving. And of course, I'm limited to other stuff, not just the stuff in the foreground. For example, I might want to remove this handle here, and whoop, there where the handle has been removed. And obviously, it can't do it when the background is a complex object. So let me go ahead and show you what that means. So here we have a very, very challenging situation. As you can see, there is a photo of the other cat, the actual companion to this guy here. And he's there and he has he has books in his background. Now, obviously, these are complex objects. And as you can see, they're supposed to be writing here. So let's see how well the system copes with that. So again, I'm going to go to Tools and Magic Eraser. And as you can see, we also get some highlighted suggestions. So for example, I'm being told that I can remove this face from this book. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And as you can see, it's removed the face. But as you can see, the author's name, which is meant to be Philippa Gregory in this case, has been totally foobarred. And again, I mean, it's not actual magic, guys, you know? But anyway, what I want to do is try and remove this cat. So again, I'm just going to draw an outline. I'm being very, very ambitious here. And as you can see, it still did a very admirable job, even preserving the shadow, as you can see. But obviously, the text of the book here is corrupted, because obviously it cannot guess the text that was behind the book. Maybe in a few years' time that will be possible, but for now, I think considering the limits of AI technology nowadays, this is truly a fantastic feature. So this is me using the selfie camera here on the Pixel 6 Pro. I can only see the preview, of course. I'll need to actually see this on the device itself. But as you can see, it looks pretty clear to me with this nice green background behind me. So what I'm going to try and do now is play around with the color temperature. As you can see, I can do that on the fly as the video is being recorded. And I can actually zoom in to 1.4 times whilst the video is recording, and even play around with the brightness. Ooh, that's a lot. The exposure rather, or maybe the contrast. I don't know. The icon's a bit vague here. Anyway, and this is what the back camera looks like. I have no idea what it does. My handsome assistant is recording me right now, but I'll upload this in full quality on YouTube, and you yourself can judge the quality. Let's go.
No, I'm zooming in.
Okay. Now, it's not all about the camera and the Magic Eraser and so on. Another thing that is fantastic here is the live translate feature. Now, the way that this works is that you'll be able to translate from one language to another in real time. Now, I do know a little bit of Italian, so we're going to be translating from Italian to English. Come stai?
How are you?
Io sto parlando in italiano adesso.
I am speaking in Italian now.
Voi state guardando Tech Guru su YouTube.
Do you want to be watching Tech Guru on YouTube?
Non male, non male.
Not bad, not bad.
Questo è un altro test. Vedo che cosa succede se metto un po' di inglese nella sentenza.
This is another test. See what happens if I put some English into the trend.
Okay, so that actually was pretty good. As you can see, I was speaking in Italian, and trust me, the translations were very good indeed. And it even handled me throwing in some English words in the middle of my translation. Be my Italian interpreter.
For that, you'll have to turn off airplane mode.
Okay, so we tried to use the live translate feature whilst on airplane mode, and we were informed by Google that this requires a connection, which is not what I expected. However, still in airplane mode, as you can see here, I can still use talk to type. The quick brown fox jumps over a lazy dog. I am currently speaking and Google is supposed to be transcribing what I'm saying into the Google Docs app. Full stop. Okay, so the full stop thingy doesn't seem to work. Period? Full stop? Comma? Okay, so that doesn't seem to work so well for the punctuation, but as you can see for the text itself, and I'm speaking at a normal rate here, it is translating at a very, very good rate. And this is in airplane mode with no connection whatsoever to the interwebs. Okay, so let's see what happens if we re-enable connection. So I'm going to swipe up and up again, switch off airplane mode, and we should get a Wi-Fi connection shortly. Okay, there we are. And I'm going to start a new document here. And I'm going to see whether the automatic punctuation can be established. Okay, so. Dear George, how are you? It's been a long time since I've written to you, and the weather has changed considerably since then. Ever since our last meeting, okay, so no punctuation is being added whatsoever. That's kind of weird because it's supposed to automatically add punctuation itself. I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be some sort of update from Google's part. That kind of sucks a bit. Dear George, comma, new line. How are you? It's been a while since our last meeting back in Normandy. Full stop, new paragraph. This is actually working quite well, comma. I was very glad to try out the new Pixel 6 Pro and other stuff here on Tech Guru, full stop, new paragraph. Oh, okay, so that's actually not bad at all. As you can see, speaking the punctuation actually does get the job done. But then after that, it doesn't auto-punctuate, which is something it's supposed to be doing. And at this point, it's given up on me speaking so quickly, and it has obviously stopped. Okay, so one other thing I want to try is the audio quality. So I'm actually gonna load up some royalty-free music. Now, the last time I tried to do this with Crabrave, but unfortunately I got a content match. So I'm actually gonna go to the YouTube audio library here, which should be royalty-free. No copyright music. Okay, so let's see how this does. Actually, that's pretty good. Both the bass and the mids, as well as the treble in this particular track, sound really nice. So yeah, that's pretty good as well. I'm actually quite impressed with the audio quality. You'd almost forget you have just a tiny couple of speakers and a phone in front of you. Definitely at least on par with the iPhone 12 Pro Max that I use right now on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so for the last thing, let's go ahead and play some 4K stuff here on YouTube. Let's go ahead with that. That's the Pixel 6 Pro. It's a really solid phone with great features and comes in with a strong camera and a beautiful display. If you're into Android phones, you really can't go wrong with the Pixel lineup, especially since you get a pretty much stock version of Android without additional bloat, plus you'll be the first to receive updates directly from Google. Are you buying a Pixel 6 or Pixel 6 Pro? Let me know down in the comments below. And whilst you're there, be sure to like this video and subscribe to Tech Guru for more reviews, tutorials, documentaries, and everything else related to technology. And if you really want to help me, please consider subscribing to me on Patreon. Your financial support means the world to me and helps fund the stuff I review, as well as the equipment I use to create these videos. Remember, I'm also on Odyssey, where you can watch my videos without using YouTube. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and until next time, thanks for watching.